All right, so I'm just gonna test real quick. Am I live on my?
It says live.
Hold on. Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
Huh, I can't see myself on. Huh. Let me see. Where am I live on? Sorry.
That's okay.
Where am I live on? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, it's working. I think. It's just unexpected, so yeah, I was not prepared for this, but this was a way too good of an opportunity that I could not pass. So
Oh
just
yeah,
want
no
to
problem,
test
dude.
one more thing real quick. I'm pretty sure I am. No, hold on. What the heck? This is embarrassing. This is a live stream and I'm doing this so unprofessionally. But it's all good. I'll make up for it with my wonderful questions that I'll be asking. Huh. That's weird.
Oh,
So,
right. Sorry. My speaker's cut out again.
oh, your speaker's cut out.
There. Sweet, I found out if I tap the bass, they start working again.
I'm just trying to figure out where I'm live. Like, I have 2 Facebook accounts. Like, one of them is my personal account,
Yeah.
and I don't want to, like, go live there, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm not live there. But, like, it doesn't show me that I'm live on my spiritual Facebook account, so I'm like, just, oh, gosh, where am I live at? I'm just trying to figure out what I selected. Like, there's no way for me to tell.
Oh, really?
It's rolling right now, but I can't really tell where I'm live at. Huh. Like, can you hold on? And I can't see anybody on too. Like, there's 0. It's showing no one's watching.
Yeah, it says private.
Is it private? Hold on.
It says private. Oh, it says private chat.
Private chat. So nobody's watching. Where am I live at? What did I select? So it's not showing that I'm live on my Facebook. Huh, this is unusual. And nobody is watching. So what does that mean? Darn it.
We're streaming to the ether.
Oh, wait. Hold on. It is showing that I'm live. It's just nobody's. Oh, wait. It does say it's private. Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know.
Why does this say that it's private? I must have. Hold on. Let me go to settings real quick. General.
So you said on Skype when it records, you can't upload?
Yeah, I had that issue before, and like an opportunity like this, I don't want to like ruin it. So, it's just that like I just don't have like besides my phone, I don't have the proper camera equipment and whatnot.
Right.
Okay, I think we're good now. Okay. All right. So I think we're finally live. Okay, so apologies for the first 3 minutes of technical issues and me trying to figure out what's going on. Apologies for that, folks.
Oh, no worries, dude.
I believe we are good now, regardless of what's going on. Well, yeah, I see it shows that someone's watching, so we're good. So, to those of you that don't know, this is Chris Fazio. He is a phenomenal how should I describe you? A Nigong adept, telekinetic. I'm not sure how to describe you properly, but all I can say is Wendy and Rob, the two Seeing Without Eyes teachers, have discovered a phenom, and he popped up in one of the Facebook groups I'm a admin of, and I was like, oh, it's that guy that I was like just looking at the other day, and I was like, I man, like this guy's phenomenal. I wish I can contact him and stuff. And we started chatting, and he was kind enough to join us today. Like I said, I wasn't gonna do these interviews and stuff like that, but when a phenom like Chris and like a great opportunity like this presents itself, you just can't turn it down. So I decided to do one more interview with Chris Fazio. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris. Antonio's watching. Thanks, Antonio. Like I said, just wasn't gonna do these interviews for a while. If not, I don't know, maybe never. But this might be my last one that I'll do. But like I said, this guy, I wanted to talk to this guy, and like he was like, let's just do an interview. While we're talking, it's like I'm asking him a million questions, and yeah, it seemed like me. I was doing an interview as it is, so it's like, why not make it public, And I'll just ask him a bunch of questions. So could you just briefly introduce yourself to the public, to those of you that have no clue who you are?
Yeah, sure. My name is Chris Fazio. I've been a Qigong practitioner for the past 9 years now. Started out by my friend was backpacking across South America and stayed with a hermit that pretty much lives in the middle of nowhere. And he told me that this guy threw him without touching him. And I asked if he was on drugs because I didn't believe any of that. But I had to reach out. So I started talking to this guy, Steve, and he was telling me about some things that I just considered unbelievable before. Um, levels of, I guess, energy in the body that can be unlocked just through practices of emptying the mind, different ancient movements that have been discovered by monks of different lineages throughout the years. But I was hooked and I started practicing immediately. And these are kind of just side effects that I've discovered. Telekinesis, electrokinesis, the ability to influence objects without touching them. Just minor side effects, but still very fun.
Awesome, dude. So to those of you that don't know, this is his teacher, right here. Yeah. This guy, Steve Gray, I have his book. I read it. It's phenomenal. And yeah, man, like it's definitely worth the read. So like I said, I wasn't prepared for questions, but I personally had a lot of questions that I wanted to ask him. So basically, you often, there's a lot of, I see comments, from some people asking you, you know what I mean, different Facebook groups and stuff like that. They're asking you like, hey, so how do you do what you do? You often say, I've done meditation for 8 years, and that's how you basically essentially unlock your abilities and stuff like that. But I mean, like, me as a practitioner, I mean, I know just meditation can't get you to your level, even if you've done it for 8 years. Because I mean, otherwise all monks will be doomed doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? So I knew you had, some up your sleeves, and like, it just makes, now that I'm connecting the dots, it makes sense that you were a Nigong adept and stuff. So essentially right now, all you do is pretty much Nigong.
Yeah, all I do is I meditate an hour a night, and I have done so every single night for the past. Yeah, it's been 9 years now, and that's it. I mean, there's so many different practices of meditation, and I've got to say, none of them are wrong. And who's to say that those monks that have been meditating their whole life that they can't do these things? They probably can. They're just not open about it.
Good
I mean,
point.
I didn't share any of this stuff until very recently because, for one, you sound like a nut job. And
Yeah, for
two,
sure.
who's going to believe you? This stuff is really isolating in a way. I mean, you're led to discoveries that are not your own conscious thought. You're given messages from beyond. Something higher is guiding you
Mhm.
eventually. And the whole point is just to not think, which is a lot harder done than said. I mean,
Right.
so in effect, any of these books on Nigong and Qigong, they're all right. It just gives your left brain something to do while your right brain and subconscious do the real work, which
Mhm.
is to empty yourself to allow God's light to fill you. It's
Mm.
pretty amazing.
So I briefly looked into the Tien. It's called the Tien Shan Ne Kung, right? I
Yeah.
briefly looked into some of his exercises and stuff like that. There's certainly a lot of movements and stuff like that. And correct me if I'm wrong. He's currently publicly making 4 levels. Am I correct on that so far? Or?
Hmm. That's right.
Okay. So, out of the 4 levels of the Tien Shan Ne Kung, have you gone beyond the 4 levels, if you will? Like, do you?
No,
No. Okay.
I'm not even past the later stages of the second level, and
Mhm.
Steve is. I mean, I don't know exactly what Steve's level of attainment is, but it's enough to teleport it right before my eyes, which still is really hard to wrap your brain around. When you see someone do that, and then he's just standing 20 feet away, laughing like a maniac, when an instant before he was directly in front of me. So, yeah, it's still like,
Is there any way, like, next time you go see him or something like that, next time you go for a visit, that you can record this, or would he not allow that?
he wouldn't allow that. I mean, he only was open enough to share these things with me because he knew that I was serious enough to come out there and go through his training in the first place, which it's not easy to get out there. I mean, it took us a full day of travel, and it's 50 miles from the nearest town, and it's literally in the middle of freaking nowhere in the Andes Mountains. It's in a crater bordering the Amazon rainforest, and it is just breathtaking. I mean, it's so natural and beautiful, and you can eat freaking everything that grows out there. There's fruits that you've never heard
Wow.
of that are just. It's a magical place for sure, and energetically speaking,
Right.
you can feel it.
That's amazing. So you've been with Tien Shan Qigong and stuff like that. So prior to this, you didn't do any Qigong or yoga or anything like that, or any kind of meditation?
Nothing.
Nothing. Wow, that's crazy. So the first guy you found, is pretty much happens to be like a Nigong super master. Or I should say, like someone that truly inherited the real Nekun. Because like often, Master Steve often criticizes most of these so-called Nigong experts that he calls them. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Well, actually, before I finally made up my mind to go and visit Steve, I had reached out to, oh man, countless self-proclaimed Nikong masters, especially in the States, even overseas. And I would have very specific questions to ask them, like, how do you store yang in the lower dantian?
mhm,
Very, basic question that
mhm,
anyone that's a serious practitioner should be able to answer. I mean, there's certain
mhm,
norms that come that are unanimous across all sects,
mhm,
and these people could not answer me. They didn't know what I was talking about, and even trying to ask like at what point do you raise chi to the brain to become shin? And they were like, oh no, you're born with shin already. And I was like,
mhm,
very contradictory. And these people, I would ask them in video calls if they could demonstrate very basic telekinesis
mhm,
for me.
mhm,
And they were
mhm.
like, oh, well, that stuff isn't real. I said, well, then you're not real. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a benchmark of power, even though it's just a side effect of
Right.
the hormone. It's still like if you progress, you'll get these abilities no matter
Mhm,
what.
mhm,
It's just that it's kind of a pain. It requires a lot of dedication, and it's
Right.
not easy to sit in silence for an hour when this world is built around busy, busy, busy. Like,
Hmm.
it's just not many
Right.
people check it out.
Right, right. So, Chris, you touched upon yin energy and yang energy and stuff like that. I got the Mopai book over there. Basically they describe that there's two types of energies and stuff like that. According to Master Steve video that I watched, he describes the yin energy, the energy that's going down, and like the yang energy is the energy that's rising from your body and stuff like that. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can. I'm a very scientific-minded person,
Hmm.
um, and so when describing things in spirituality, I really can't connect the dots. But you really can break this down to a science. There's the core of the Earth is a rotating gigantic ball of superheated iron that's in essence it's rotating magnetic fields, and we have to exist within these laws of physics, between earth and space, um, which are pretty much yin and yang. um, Yang comes from the earth. It's the expansion portion of the energy, and the opposite of that is contraction. And that's in essence what yin and yang is. It's expansion, contraction, heat, cold, light, dark. Um, and your body in essence is like a battery, and you can raise your charge or your capacitance while you're here on earth. And the hard part is people ask me, like, why is it sitting in silence is the thing that actually raises your charge? And I honestly don't know. I mean, why? I don't know. It's one of those things that you just have to go by faith on. And when you really think about it, how many people dedicate time to not thinking when your brain is constantly going? And I
Good
know
point.
very few people.
Good point. So basically, what I learned from my former teacher and based on my direct experience, essentially yang energy, like when you do like qigong and stuff like that, it's mostly like the essentially the most of the movements and stuff like that where you move in qi. That's a lot of yang, if I'm not or how can I explain this?
That's right.
So my understanding of yin and the difference between yin and yang is that most meditations, like the fact that you're closing your eyes and you're in darkness, that's yin, and like the yang is essentially the heat, if you will. Like that's I mean, I'm just really trying to simplify these two energies, you know what I mean? Like do you see it that way at all, or?
Yeah, any kind of movement is yang, and
Mhm.
stillness is yin. And yang is always internal of the body. You can't project yang energy. You can build it to the surface of your skin, and that's how you can burn things or with pyrokinesis. But
Mhm.
it can never leave the body. Yin rides on the back of yang and is the only energy capable of external influence.
Mm, okay, interesting. um that's so interesting. So um man, there's a million things I want to ask you. I just don't know what to ask you first. Like I said, usually I have all my questions written down, but this literally came about like in the last, like what is it? How I don't even know how long we've been live. 19, again, dang, 19 minutes already. That's crazy. But
Crazy, right?
anyways, yeah, I don't really have questions prepared, but I still have a million questions I want to ask this guy. I just don't know what order to go in. Um, uh let's see. So we touched upon yin and yang energy and stuff like that. What is like the heaviest object that you've ever been able to move?
Dining room table. Yeah. I mean, surprised me too. Because there's certain days that are just it's this is the part that I don't fully understand, and perhaps I never will. But depending on the day, the time of year, the planetary positions, the room that you're in, what is it, feng shui, that is a very deep and detailed subject that people go to school for decades and still don't grasp. So when I did that, I just felt like I was in a very, it felt like I was moving through water. Like I could literally move my hand and it felt like waves were forming when I would just lift my hand and move it very slightly. And I would notice this produce it like a ripple effect across the room. Um, and so any of this stuff, I'm just playing. And it is just through playing that you discover new things. And it was just the right feel, I guess. Um, I just pushed my hands towards the dining room table, and it was a large dining room table, probably 8 feet long and 4 feet wide, and oak. Um, and yeah, it actually slid like a few feet. I have not been able to duplicate that. I could do chairs from time to time.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, it just depends on the day and how energetic I'm really feeling. This the
Wow.
current that I've awakened, the sparks that I can throw, that is something that I can activate at will and is something I don't even have to think about. So it's
Interesting.
interesting.
So you briefly touched upon like aerokinesis and stuff like that. I've always believed that once I can get to your level where you can move like insanely big objects and stuff like that, that you can pretty much um, do aerokinesis at a high level as well. What is your experience with aerokinesis? Like, I mean, obviously, anybody can do aerokinesis demos when it's extremely windy and stuff like that. I'm just making a confession that most of my really impressive aerokinesis demos are done on a high energy day. I've
Right.
done some stuff on a low energy day as well. But the aerokinesis demos that I'm impressed by are the ones that are like when it's completely still and you can, um, make it extremely windy and stuff like that. What
Kind
do
of
you,
like
can you talk?
Michael Grubb,
Yeah,
his
like Michael Grubb.
tornado.
Yeah. Can you touch upon aerokinesis a little bit and your experience with that?
Yeah, dude, I'm having such deja vu right now. I swear that we've had this conversation before. That's a weird feeling. So actually, my aerokinesis has um, it's gotten weaker since I
Weaker, really?
awakened the current, and I love interacting with plants, especially. I mean, they respond so well, but it's like since I've been going more towards the current side of things to where I'm trying to increase my spark distance and strength and just because I think it's fun. Um I notice my aerokinesis when I try to revert back to just basic motions and wind and trying to make little mini tornadoes and stuff. It's it's like it's like a frequency that I'm not used to anymore. And it's hard to describe, and I really don't know what the reason for it is. But I still do it every night. I still, every
Oh,
evening
you
during
do it that's cool.
yeah, when I'm passing the trees, I always try to like,
Right. It's hard not to, right? I mean, like once you discover it, it's like anytime you're outside, you're like, you know,
dude, when driving especially, I'm just like like, and
yeah,
people are like
yeah,
looking at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I know
yeah.
it's weird, but
Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me like I mean, it's hard to measure someone's aerokinesis level because, like I said, I mean, depending on how windy it is outside, it's kind of hard to measure like your level of expertise, if you will, when it comes to airbending and stuff like that. Um, but you briefly mentioned that you can create mini tornadoes and stuff. Um, so that sounds pretty impressive to me because I certainly have never created a mini tornado. So can you like
I think I'm really hard on myself with these abilities. I think that something that you can't display at command every single time, then you really don't own that ability. So if I
Mhm.
can't if I can't make a mini tornado every single time, then I'll pretty much act like I've never been able to. So yeah, I'm pretty rough on myself, but yeah, it is I guess I am like if I'm being less critical, um yeah, I am very strict with my control. Like, if something moves the opposite direction that I want it to, or I'm forming a circuit with a huge area of trees, and one
Mhm.
tree doesn't activate, I'll get I'll get frustrated and try to force it. You know,
Right. Right. Right.
but I mean,
Um.
everything wants to react. You know,
Right.
every living thing
Right.
has energy.
Right. I mean, I like to always give credit where credit's due. The popular Aerokinesis technique a lot of people use comes from Michael Grupp, where he goes zzz and and stuff. And I certainly use that as well. My understanding is that when you do these buzzing sounds, you're essentially stimulating your third eye, and that's what makes the energy, the wind, like basically get windier, essentially. So someone with an extremely open third eye can essentially just make you know you know make outside make your environment extremely windy and stuff. So I would imagine you're you're a very humble guy, but I would imagine you're probably extremely good at Aerokinesis and stuff, and I
The
would
Z
love to see one of
never
your demos.
worked for me. The Z sounds never worked for me with Aerokinesis.
Really, that
Yeah,
doesn't work for you?
and it never came through my third eye either. It was always at the base of the neck. If I lead energy right at that point, and just breathe hard through it and build up my energy there, or through my feet, that's when I
Interesting.
get the major reactions. When I first started, I would just squeeze the energy in my ears until they connected, and then it would shoot out of my neck and around. Um, yeah,
Interesting.
Michael Grubb's techniques did not work for me at all.
Really, that's really interesting. Because I mean, to me, it seems like it works really well and stuff. But I guess everybody's different, and you certainly come from like I said, a Nigong lineage and stuff like that. I mean, we have we said his name on this live stream already? Can we say your master's name?
Yeah, Steve Gray.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm died. Sorry, I
You said
should
the
have
book.
looked it up. I'm so dumb. So like I said, I'm not prepared for. I wasn't prepared for this at all. Okay, um, so what is Master Steve's take on aerokinesis and stuff like that? I wouldn't like because I was watching him do Tai Chi and stuff like that, and he's just the trees behind him are moving according to his movements and stuff like that. Have you guys discussed anything in regards to aerokinesis at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, so when we went and saw him, and I first met him, standing next to him, you can hear a buzzing sound, like electricity crackling, and you could feel it like your hair stands on ends, like up to 3 feet away from him, and you're like, whoa, like I've never felt anything like that around anybody before. But I asked him about this stuff because I was playing with the wind before I met him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't really pay attention to those kind of games," and you know.
Mm,
But it was so funny when we were going through his techniques, his qigong routine. Uh, all the plants were just like swaying in motion with his movements, and I was like, Steve, do you not realize that everything around here is like reacting to you? He's like, oh yeah, I guess it does, but just he doesn't care. He's like it's kind of funny how little importance he places on any of these side effects, because he knows the real stuff is the waves of knowledge that just slam into you in moments of silence. Like,
wow,
I knew
that's
nothing
amazing.
about electronics or engineering before
Yeah,
meditation. And
yeah.
then after a deep meditation session, I started building feverishly.
Yeah.
Multiple Tesla coils, X-ray guns, microwave weapons, like all sorts of shit that I knew nothing about. And
Yeah. Yeah.
who knows, man? It's not my
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess someone like him will look at me and be like, "Oh, you all you care about is superpowers and stuff." I'm not. I mean, I'm not gonna make you my student, probably, But I mean, I still look up to the guy a lot, and I think he's phenomenal and stuff. And I wish I can like mature a little more in my I don't even know what to call it, my desires and like intentions and stuff like that. Because I mean, I am pretty open about the fact that, yeah, of course, like I want superpowers. That's why I play with them, and that's why I interview people, and that's why I practice. I can't like I'd be a liar if I said that that wasn't my goal and intention and stuff. You know what I mean? But I do think as I mature, as I get wiser and stuff like that, I mean that I would probably eventually not care about this stuff, and I do think that is like really what I'm truly seeking is to not care about these things eventually and stuff like that. And that's probably why I'm not going to be doing these interviews and stuff like that and things like this, for so long, because I feel like I am getting to that point. But still, you know what I mean? Like I still want to be able to do some of the things that you're able to do and stuff like that. But I do have a feeling that once I do reach that point where I get to your level and stuff, it's gonna be meaningless. Like, yeah, I can move stuff. So what? You know what I mean? So, because I'm not quite there yet. Because like I was sharing with you yesterday, I'm not. Yes, I can move side wheels and stuff like that sometimes when my energy is charged. But can I do it like right now live? Like heck no, So,
Yeah, you could. You could.
well, I mean, I don't want to embarrass myself if I couldn't do it. So I'm
Dude,
not
it's
embarrassed.
all well, that's why I mean, before Steve gave me permission to start showing people some of the stuff that happens, because I told him, I was like, Steve, if no one knows what humans are capable of, then no one's going to care enough to seek out the path. And he's like, you know what? That's true. If you could show people some of these things, and it guides one person that's serious enough to find the way to enlightenment, then it's worth it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, really, when you break it down, it doesn't matter how much meditation you do. If you knew that you could do these things with no meditation, then you could do them.
Mhm.
Like, but how many people in their minds look at an object and say, I'm going to move that without touching it and really believe it? Like, I have
Mhm.
doubt creep into my head all the time. Even when I'm moving something, I'm still like, that's not really happening. And then it'll stop immediately. And it honestly is just takes progression of moving larger and larger objects because before you're like, okay, I can do these things. Like, it's not just, a fluke. It actually does exist, regardless of what people say. Um,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things. Like, if you were born knowing that you could fly, then you'd be flying. But, of course, we have gravity, and you, get a fear of heights very early on. Um,
Mhm.
it's just not going to happen for people
Right.
without intense training.
Right. Right. Um. So when it comes to Nikon, especially from like the Mopai system and stuff like that, it seems to me like they're able to not only just do telekinesis stuff, but they can. It seems like a lot of those practitioners can also use um, some of their techniques to towards martial arts and stuff like that, breaking bricks and like I forgot some of the stuff that John Chan was able to do and stuff. But does Master Steve have any experience with that kind of stuff as well, like with breaking bricks or like I think I could be wrong about this, but I thought I heard that John Chang, like a bullet couldn't penetrate his skin or
Right.
something like that. Like, is there any stories like that that you can possibly share?
Yeah, I mean, Steve had me and my best friend when we were out there go at him full speed, trying to attack him. And he's like, if you could land one punch, then you don't have to train the rest of the day. And so obviously, I felt some reservation about doing so. But when he hit us, I was like, that's it. I'm coming at you, old man. You better watch out. I couldn't come anywhere close to him. It was like my fist was deflected on its own, and it wasn't just a what do you call a placebo effect. It was like I was really actually trying to hurt that man because
Wow.
he was
Are
taunting
you?
us. And
Sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, that was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Do you know who Max Reeder and Alexander Kukulnik is?
No.
They do Empty Force. Oh, you don't know? Oh, they're my friends, but um, they're the ones that in this community do Empty Force and stuff like that. I could be wrong about this. If Alex is watching this, I'm sorry. I thought Alex told me once that empty force can't be applied to MMA competitions or boxing or and stuff like that. I thought he said that. What is your take on that? Do you think martial artists can use these abilities to like actually win in competitions? What is your take on
Well,
that?
so our training specifically focused on increasing your yang stores to a point to where you could physically feel a like baseball sized object moving throughout your body, which is really an interesting feeling to say the least. Because I can actually see it moving down my sternum, like through my skin now, which is weird. But
Mm-hmm.
you can use this energy whenever you're fighting because it'll go straight to your fists, especially in moments of rage. So when you have this baseball size thing going through your body and you feel your fists get 10 times heavier than they are, you can't hurt. I mean, like you can't attack somebody because you will kill them. Like it's a living energy. I mean, it is intelligent, and so if you strike somebody and you're full of chi in your fist, it's gonna go straight to their heart. I mean, Steve never sparred with us without wearing thick ass gloves. Just because he's like, I don't even want to like pat you on the back with congratulations because of what it could possibly do, you know, if he can't control his emotions well. So yeah, it can. I mean,
How
it's a martial system. His was.
how like I mean Steve is in his 70s. Am I correct?
Yeah, but he's so freaking agile. He's like a 20-year-old man. It's
Really?
insane,
Like so
dude.
like does he work out still a lot and stuff like that or
No, but dude, we were going, and I think it was like we were like 9,000 feet up or so in his property, and we were going hiking. And dude, I'm not used to that kind of height. But he was going at it like it was just nothing, while me and my buddy, who are not like unfit people, are like gasping for breath.
right because it's because of the elevation of the mountains and stuff, yeah.
But dude, he's like jumping over rocks and branches
Wow.
and just like not even perspirating, not even showing any signs of exasperation, just very calm and collected. I'm just like,
Wow.
this is crazy.
Wow. So I mean, this is an odd question, but I guess everything I'm asking you is odd, and everybody thinks we're crazy. But basically, I was watching one of his videos and stuff like that, and he was describing his path as a path to become an immortal and stuff like that. What is
Mm.
your take on that? Like, is he gonna eventually be an immortal? Are you gonna eventually be an immortal? What is your take on that?
Hopefully, man. I mean, the whole point of it is to gather enough energy in this lifetime to where, and it doesn't matter what your views on religion really are. You die and you go somewhere. It's something that happens. If you truly believe that nothing happens when you die, then you are not intelligent enough to form a rational thought. Like, really, it's sorry to say that, but I have a hard time believing atheists are truly atheists because look at where the hell we are. Like, explain life, explain our conscious. Um, Anyways, you gather enough energy in this lifetime, you can take your intelligence with you in the afterlife, and you could break the rebirth cycle. You don't have to come back down here. You pretty much become Tao, or one with everything. You become God in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Wow.
I think Steve will become an immortal. I hope that I will, but who knows? I still have a long way to go.
Right, right. I wanted to now, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Like all these questions are now starting to like pop up in my head, like, as I'm thinking about Mr. Steve Moore. Um, so Mr. So it's a commonly well accepted concept that celibacy is very important when it comes to like the Mopai people supposedly preach that as well and stuff. Like a lot of Taoists really preach that. I believe yogis do as well, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, because I'm not a yoga expert. Well, I'm not really an expert on anything, but anyways, I was watching Mr. Steve's video and he was saying this whole celibacy concept, this idea is complete BS. What is your take on that? Because from my direct experience, it doesn't really matter that much at all and stuff like that. Can you tell me your opinion on that?
So it's not BS because Steve advised us that even when we went up there that we could only have an ejaculation once a week in your early 30s. Like, but the longer I've gone without, you really notice increase in charge, like electrically speaking. I mean, when you look at it and you truly know the three elixir system, Jing, Qi, Shen. Jing is, I mean, you're turning your semen into like it. That is the life creating liquid in your body. It's like the god atoms. You're turning that into actual usable energy throughout your body. So no, it's not bullshit, but in a scientific perspective, like your body replaces your sperm cells fully once every 48 hours. So it's really not that important, but something about it is, because I could tell you from experience, and this is kind of weird to even say publicly, but I haven't in over a year now. Like if I've been with somebody, it's been just tantric to where I never fully, O face. I don't know, but it definitely increased my charge, and at this point it's more of a contest for me.
Interesting. Okay, so that wasn't necessarily the answer that I was expecting, because I mean, I even asked Master Steve about this in one of the YouTube comments, and his reply was like, "Yeah, it's BS. All these Taoists don't know what they're talking about. They made that up because they're all, he describes all these Mopai people as wimps or something. You know what I mean?
So I mean, and it may be because he hasn't needed to focus on this aspect of training in decades. So um, he may have just brushed it off as not important because he doesn't have to do it anymore. Um,
Interesting.
whereas someone just starting out, yeah, it's of major importance because that's where you're going to get all of your yang energy that you use to pull in more yin energy.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Well, that's definitely something important to keep in mind as a practitioner for sure. What else? So let's see. Let's talk about a scene without eyes a little bit. So, you're obviously a very phenomenal telekinesis practitioner. And we've seen a lot of phenomenal, electrokinesis, and like, like the piece of foil was like, and actually like, pulling towards your hand and stuff like that. It's really impressive. Um, in regards to seeing without eyes, by doing these, Tian Shan Neikong Qigong practices, did it improve your remote viewing, seeing without eyes and stuff like that? Or is this something new that you stumbled upon when you discovered Wendy and Rob's Facebook group?
Oh yeah, I mean it came from that documentary Superhumans. I'm sure you've seen it, to where
Yeah.
there's for playing catch and stuff and reading books, and I was like, no way. But that's when I reached out to Wendy and Rob, and it wasn't until months after I had met them that I realized I'm an idiot. I have like all this energy in me that I could be using for blind sight, and as soon as I realized that, it was like instant. I mean, those people at Vibravision, the ones that charge $8,000 freaking dollars for a week training course, which is criminal, I think. Their training parent company is from Australia, and Rob got to see every one of their videos, and it literally is basic Qigong training. That's it. And I'm like,
Wow.
dude, I mean, how simple. Like, yeah, this energy lets you, remote view very easily.
Yeah, yeah, and that's part of the reason why I kind of got turned off. I mean, I've never wanted to personally monetize or become a teacher. I'm just super passionate about this energy stuff, and I just wanted to document my journey. That's always been kind of like my goal and stuff. But I definitely don't want to. I mean, I'm not against teachers. There's a lot of fantastic teachers that I'm aware of and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I'll be endorsing someone's course anymore, because it's really simple. You know what I mean? Like, it's so simple, and like, well, it's not simple, but it's not. You don't need to pay, like you said, $8,000 a week or something like that to learn this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot easier than that. So so
Right.
yeah. Chris, so one more question in regards to well, I guess this is a new question because it's about electrokinesis. You shared a video with me yesterday on Messenger. There was like lightning bolts coming out. I guess I don't even know what to call it, but
Yeah.
it looked like it essentially your chi, your energy is like as strong as like someone like touching a Van der Graaf machine, basically, because that's kind of what it looked like. You know what I mean? Like, um, I've heard of concepts that essentially, if you can touch like these electrostatic machines, whatever you want to call them and stuff like that, it's like a shortcut, if you will. There's a machine called, like, gosh, I can't remember the name of it now, but there's like these electrostatic machines and stuff like that that you can basically touch or sit on, and like it gives you like electrons and stuff like that in your body, and that can massively amplify your chi, if you will. Have you ever heard these concepts at all before?
Oh
Or
yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that's really all that this energy is at a very scientific level is negative ions in your body. And you're increasing the negative ions to a level to where you can concentrate them through emission points. And that's literally all it is. And this electricity just happens to be intelligent, so people can use it as healing or telekinesis or whatever your will is.
I'm glad you mentioned healing. Have you been sick, or like, have you healed somebody else? Like, do you have any experiences, any cool stories in regards to healing?
I'm trying to get good at the healing arts right now because I had and this is gonna sound lunatic, but we're on a roll, so I'm on as well. So, um, I was on my run about a month ago, and I had a vision sent to me that I was supposed to lay hands on my neighbor who has uh, stage 4 cancer, and immediately started arguing. And I call it the Holy Spirit because it just feels like that's who it is that's giving me these messages. But um,
Interesting.
I've healed people before of minor injuries, bone spurs, to where they showed up on the X-ray the next time they went gone completely. Um, but cancer is in a category of its own. I mean, how amazing would that be? And that's kind of my, like, that is a major goal. If I can manage to get to where I can remove somebody of a fatal disease that is just, it's devastating, like what it does to people, and nobody should have to watch their family members die like that. Um, that's what I really hope to be getting good at, and I'm supposed to um, meet with this guy in a month and do this laying of hands thing on, which I'd never even heard of. But he came to me like a minute later, drove up to me randomly when I was on my run. I told him what I had seen, And he's like, you know what? He's like, I think that is your calling, and I'm all for it. And so I'm not expecting a miracle, but I probably need to get my mind right that, yeah, I can. With, with God's help. Who knows?
Interesting. It's so interesting that you mentioned the Holy Spirit. I'm not a Christian, but my teacher's teacher, he's a very well, we I don't want to mention his name, but we talked about him and her offline while we were talking, or not offline, but while we were privately speaking, we mentioned them and stuff like that. They are Christians and they talk about the Holy Spirit a lot. My grandmasters, if you will. um,
Another word for it is the seeking of truth and knowledge. And that spirit of constant yearning to know the truth, that is what is considered the Holy Spirit, and it's just easier to say than the pursuit of actual knowledge. I mean, it is a living thing that comes inside of every single genius that you'll ever hear about, that they receive flash inspiration, like how Tesla could see all of his inventions right before his eyes like a hologram before even building anything. Um, Same thing with Einstein. Says, if you look deep enough into anything, you'll find the knowledge of God. And it's like, it doesn't really matter what your religion is. But I do know that the pursuit of knowledge and that passion to know the truth of things, that's something higher. Like, that's something that is tangible because you can see when people are filled with it. So that's
awesome.
what I'm referring to.
Interesting. Okay, okay. Because basically, the way they described Christianity was essentially that the Holy Spirit is real and stuff. And coming from these Taoist practices, like, why are you going back to Christianity and stuff? It kind of
They are so
confused me.
related. They are so related in every way. Like, I have such a passion for researching religion. I've read nearly every religious text out there. The Quran, the Torah, the Vedic text, ancient Egyptian, everything that was written about that. The Bible, Book of Mormon, the Torah. So all of them have very basic and alike principles. And when you look at the Tao, you realize that all of them are saying the same thing: just don't be a piece of shit, and and that there is something higher guiding all this. I mean, how hard would it be to imagine that we're existing on a spinning rock, shooting through the void at 60,000 miles per hour, and we can question our own existence and say that it means nothing? Like, that would be mind blowing.
Right, right. Um, let's talk a little bit about levitation. You mentioned that you were able to, I forgot what the actual measurement was, but you were able to lift off a little bit essentially. Could
10
you describe
pounds.
your levitation experience a little bit?
Yeah, so from somebody that can do the levitation, told me that you pretty much have to form a toroid of energy around your body. So you have to utilize the upper channel and the lower channel and get them flowing down and up and outwards, until you can, I guess you'd feel it spinning really fast. Um, I guess I don't feel it enough, but I can lift, 10 pounds off the scale while I'm standing on it. So 180 pounds more to go. And, and I'll
Interesting.
levitate.
Interesting. What are other phenomena that you have like we were talking about synchronicities a lot yesterday when we were chatting and stuff like that. Like, is there any like psychic phenomena, if you will, that you can describe, like maybe like manifesting something cool? Because to me, the fact that I'm talking to you right now after I decided I'm not going to do these interviews and stuff like that ever again is
Right,
like pretty amazing, because the only reason why is, like I said, because of this man. Like, well, not well, this isn't the only reason, but like, because I just initially just wanted to have a talk, just wanted to talk to you because I think you're phenomenal. But what what compelled me to do it is because I know how powerful this book is, and who this I know how powerful this man is. And I forgot where I was going with this, but um, you know, is there any like I was just trying to say that, you know, this is like the fact that I'm talking to you is kind of like a manifestation, because I wanted to get to know Mr. Steve. I wanted to seek out his knowledge and stuff like that. And then, you know, I stumbled upon you, you know, synchronistically, you know, and stuff. And I have no doubt this is something that I was able to manifest and stuff like that. Pretty much everybody that I've interviewed in my life, you know, and like some of these like high level people that I got to encounter was all like a manifestation. I want to talk to a person like Alexander Kokolnik is like a perfect example. You know, I like was always a big fan of him and stuff, and I wanted to like seek out his knowledge and stuff. And like, boom, you know, now we're talking, you know, pretty regularly and stuff, you know. And so with that being said, like, is there any um like other psychic phenomena, if you will, that you can describe?
Oh yeah,
That
man. They happen every single day, and I'm really not even surprised by them anymore. I mean, since I started actually sharing and not being so selfish and to myself about it, I've met some incredible people that are equally as gifted, and we even formed, you know, me, Panagiotis, and Normans, who are part of all these groups that we're part of, formed a little chat group to where we post videos when we can throughout the day of us like lifting heavier and heavier objects and kind of pushing and challenging each other. And
that's
it's
awesome.
so weird. It's gotten to the point to where we'll know exactly what the other person is going to say way before they say it. And
Cool, man.
I mean, it just comes with like if you're on the path of seeking the truth, then you'll find it and it'll come in such abundance that language uh and the limitation of are not going to be a restriction anymore. Like
Right.
you'll be filled with the knowledge and you'll be connected with people, and things will happen to where you're like you're just instantly paired with the person that you're supposed to be, um, before you even know you're supposed to be paired with them, and um, to where it's kind of mind blowing. Like, oh, I want to learn levitation. Well, oh, you're somebody that can levitate. Holy crap! Like,
Right. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Yeah. Man, that's so amazing that you're saying that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like it almost seems like every time I feel like I get to the point where I say I pretty much learned it all. I seeked out every single teacher. I read every book. I bought every course. There's nothing more to learn. There's like always somebody that pops up in my life, like someone like you. You're the perfect example, you know. And yeah, man, it's just like life is so incredible. It's an endless, there's just endless, you know, cool stuff that happens every single time, you know, that, you know, you think that there's just, you know, nothing more to learn and stuff. It's just amazing. Yeah.
dude, I mean, I joke with my friends all the time about this. It's like I constantly am feeling every day like I don't know shit about anything, because like the more you discover, the more you know how complex everything really is. And I don't know, it's like the deeper you go, the less you actually know. And so um it's just kind of humorous after a while, because you start making connections that you never did before, and new abilities open up, and you just kind of have to laugh at it like this is like unbelievable, to the point to where you can't even really share it with anybody.
I
Like,
know. I
isn't
know.
that the weirdest thing about all this? It's like,
I know. It's man, like I like when I at work and stuff, I have to pray that like my coworkers don't look up my name and stuff, you know. And like I have friends on this. I mean, this is my spiritual Facebook account, but
that's funny.
I'm like praying like some of my. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a few of my personal friends that are probably watching this, going, dude, Kim became so crazy. He's out of his mind now and stuff, and it's all good. It is what it is. Like, I used to be really insecure about a lot of this stuff, but I'm starting to not care anymore, and
It
stuff. And
helps
same thing with
being
the
connected.
same thing with the trolls. I mean, obviously, it's inevitable to get trolls when we're like, sharing this stuff in Facebook groups and stuff like that. There's always that one guy that's like, "Oh, this is fake. Oh, you're just waving your hand. Oh, it's just wind. Oh, it's just whatever." You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but it's just like I used to be extremely sensitive about it to where I was like. I would like I was the type of person, if 10 guys are giving me compliments, but if the one guy is saying like, "Oh, you're fake, you're a charlatan, whatever, blah blah blah," I'll take it so personal and I'll quit for weeks, sometimes months. I was that kind of guy, but I'm starting to kind of overcome that insecurity
Dude,
of
that's
mine.
why I quit 7 years ago, is because people were so negative about the doubt, and I was like, I don't give a shit if people are learn this stuff or not, because if they're going to doubt even a very, very simple fact in life, then they're never going to be someone that's going to explore any of this stuff any further. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want you to. Like, this isn't for you. So, you know, God bless them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, some of these trolls, it's like, well, if you're like, why are you even in our group? Like, I just don't understand if you don't want to learn this stuff. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. But yeah, um, man, um, let's talk a little more about telekinesis. So, um, from my experience, the more I do telekinesis, the more it feels like it's draining my energy and stuff like that. It's like, to develop telekinesis, you do these things like the Tian Shan Ne Kung, or like the Fallen Dafa, or right here. So,
Yeah, I see
or
that.
like, you know what I mean? You do those types of exercises. Some people do yoga, which is great. I don't know anybody that did yoga to unlock psychic powers within these groups, to my knowledge, but they do these things and stuff like that. That's how they unlock these abilities and stuff like that. But there's a few people that I personally interviewed. You know what I mean? I've interviewed over 40 experts in this niche. Some people have told me that the more they do TK, the stronger their abilities get, and stuff like that. Because perhaps there's something, it has to do something with belief, maybe. What is your take on that from
I
your
think
direct
it's like
experience?
I think it's like working out a muscle. Like, it's like going to the gym. If you use it, you will get stronger, and honestly, it's just reinforcing your beliefs that makes you stronger.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I want to share my personal telekinesis journey a little bit. When I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing. I started with a dial wheel and stuff like that. I went, once I was able to move one side, I decided to try to spin two side wheels, and then I got to the point where I could spin like 50 of them and stuff like that. But when I try to move something heavy, like when I try to knock over like a piece of paper with my mind and stuff like that, it just didn't work. And I was thinking to myself, but I can move 50 side wheels now. Why can't I move a little piece of paper and stuff? You know what I mean? But once I was able to knock over a piece of paper, which, or whatever you want to call it, um, and I spent a lot of time with that, and I try to go back to moving multiple side wheels, I couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah,
And
isn't
I
that
thought to
funny?
myself, there's definitely some level of belief in this telekinesis abilities and stuff. It's not just all about meditating and doing qigong and chi exercise and stuff like that. Is that your understanding as well from your experience?
Absolutely, man. It is frustrating too, because some days, like, since we started our little superstar chat group and we're challenging each other, I was like, okay, I've never been able to move a full like can of soda across the table. So I was like, with it standing up, and I said, I will. So I did a protein shake just to one up my friend, and but then I tried to do like a simple ping pong ball, and I couldn't freaking move it at all. And I'm like, gosh dang it, like I don't understand. And we joke about that all the time too, because we still, even though um our collective experience has been over 30 years in this little group that we have going on. We still don't understand like why. Um, that why do our beliefs affect it so much? Why when we do something one day can we not do it the next day? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
really
know.
right. It's really interesting. Some people, like, we touched upon my grandmasters, if you want to call it that, if you will, these two individuals, the lady and the guy. um they are very adamant about the side effects that can occur in the body when it comes to, like, cultivating too much yang energy and stuff like that. They are pretty much completely against it. Almost, they only believe in, like, cultivating yin energy and stuff like that. I certainly can kind of relate to that a little bit, because, like I mentioned, when I do too much telekinesis and stuff like that, I feel like it kind of causes, like, all these weird side effects in my body and stuff like that. I believe Falun Dafa, they describe it as like Qigong insanity or something like that in their practice, or in their John Falun book. Do you have any experience with, like, with the overloading too much energy in the body and stuff like that, and like how you have to kind of ground the energy down, if you will?
So I've never experienced any negative side effects with keeping too much energy in my body, other than it's exhausting to a point to where, like I charged up before a video, and it hurts to hold it for longer than an hour, and it's just started making me uncomfortable. And but other than that, I've never placed much emphasis on that. Everybody talks about like chi sickness, and honestly, I think that this energy really knows what to do anyways. So
Interesting.
if you could just get out of your own way and let it do its thing, then you'll be fine.
Interesting. Okay. That's something definitely to keep in mind. I I had to quit a lot of, like, telekinesis exercises. Primarily, when I was doing seeing without eyes stuff too, a little bit. I never really got anywhere with that. Honestly, but I definitely felt some level of side effects where my head would, start hurting really bad and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to get a heart attack and stuff, but I mean, that could be related to my diet issues as well, because I mean, for a while, I mean, I work at a pizza store now and stuff, and I eat a lot of pizza now and stuff, which is good for me. So I mean, that could perhaps has something to do with, with some of these symptoms and stuff. But
Well,
yeah.
I also know that when you start increasing your energy, that you'll notice when your body deems something negative, eh, or or positive, and it will affect you. Like, I freaking love the shit out of pork, and I can't eat it because it
Mhm.
makes me hurt so freaking bad. Like, it gives me
Right.
heartburn to hell.
I'm so
Um,
sorry to cut you off. I just gotta charge my phone real quick. Like,
yeah,
my
yeah,
phone's
no
about to
problem.
die. My phone's about to die. Ugh. Okay, I gotta hold my phone now. Okay, which is fine. Okay, there we go. Now we're good. So, sorry, what were you trying to say?
Oh, that this energy will let you know whether it thinks something's positive or negative, and affects your body thusly. Like,
Awesome.
you'll start realizing that you cannot tolerate certain foods or beverages, or different practices, that different vices. You just won't be able to handle it anymore, and it'll make you feel sick. And I think that is just like this energy's way of doing what is best for you physically.
Interesting. Okay. Chris, you mentioned that um uh, you work out 3 hours a day and stuff like that. You seem like a really fit guy to me as well. Um, like, what type of workouts do you do? And, like, does, I correct me if I'm wrong about this. I believe Mr. Steve was saying that if you want cheap power, you have to, like, have a lot of strength muscles, if you will. Am I right about that? If I'm totally wrong about that, I apologize. But
Well, dude, I think it works inversely. Like, I think the more energy you have internally and the more you've built up over time, the easier everything becomes. Like, I run 6 miles every night, and I do a full like hour, 10-minute weightlifting session 7 days a week. Like, I haven't missed a day in 97 days now. But it makes it so much easier. Like, before, if you told me, like, last year, if you told me that I would be running, or training for a marathon, I would have laughed. But then I realized just through meditation that it just kind of came to me, why don't I use this for physical performance? And yeah, it really makes everything so much easier.
mm-hmm.
Weights
Chris,
like
I hate to ask your age, but how old are you?
35.
35. Okay.
Happy birthday, by the way, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. It is my birthday today.
That's awesome.
By the way, thank you to those of you that wish me happy birthday today. I just wanted to say that since I'm live. I was trying to ask you something in regards to workouts. So essentially, working out is like building up the Yin energy. Do you see it that way at all, or?
No, I don't. I think the two are like my physical training is way separate from my meditational training. Like I really just, and I think the energy honestly has made me become such a fanatic with working out because I want to be in peak physical condition. And I think it's just a healthier temple for the energy to exist in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, meditation is or internal work is so different from physical training. Maybe I'm kidding myself. like I said, I just don't know anymore. Um, it seems to like honestly, I've been listening to this guiding. Do you mind if we call it the Holy Spirit just for time's sake?
Oh,
Because
sure. Yes,
okay,
absolutely. Call it whatever you
so
want.
this guy, this Holy Spirit is. I've been listening to everything it's been telling me to do for the past 8 years, and it's never, led me wrong. Um, it knows what it needs it to exist and fully, I guess, make you a physically superior specimen. I guess. I don't know how to describe it really, man.
Interesting. Okay. Um, let's talk about electrokinesis for a second. So I've never really had success with like electrokinesis a whole lot, like turning off light bulbs and turning them on and stuff like that. I've only really had like true success with side wheels. Um, and some rolling cups and stuff like that too when my energy was right. But I could never roll cups inside like a glass container, which I want to be able to do. But anyways, um, when did you discover that you can do electrokinesis and stuff like that? Because I personally know people that can do electrokinesis, but they have a hard time moving objects under like a glass container and stuff like that. Do you think it has to do with belief, or is there like an energy development thing going on there? What is your take on that?
Well, I wrote down. I don't know. It's like 5 pages of information that I do internally while performing these side effects. Like, I'll describe exactly what is going on, what I'm doing physically um, to create these effects, like shutting off lights or lighting up bulbs or whatever. And the 5 people that I've sent it to have honestly, they've started displaying these abilities like shortly after. So I really think it's just purely something that you could will it internally. Like, I teach about how you, with electrokinesis, that you have to guide it up to the back of your skull, um, and right in between third eye, your back of your skull, and in between the ears, it forms a cross. If you could hit that cross with your will, like in the pineal gland, pretty much, and when you breathe out, you force it to the back of your skull and right to the top of your head, right there. And once you get it there and you start to your inhale, whatever you're looking at, it will make, electronic sort out or fizzle. And why? I don't freaking know. But I just know that's what's worked for me, and I could describe it, and other people have had great luck with it. So, I mean, maybe it is the same for everybody. It's just like, who's going to take the time to learn, like, what's really happening inside of you?
Interesting. Okay, okay. Um, correct me if I'm wrong. John Chang is famous for doing the pyrokinesis. Mr. Steve basically called him out and said that was fake. You in turn said that no, Mr. Steve was just fed up with all these MOPI practitioners and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That demo was absolutely real. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that you were able to do that as well.
hmm Yeah, it's one of the things I don't enjoy showing because it freaking exhausts me. I mean, it's like seriously, like I just ran a marathon and I just want to go to sleep, and I don't like that feeling. Like if I do that, it's the last thing I do for the day. But yeah, it's just it's really easy to teach. Um, but it is quite exhausting because you literally feel like you're in a sauna, and it could be cold as hell in the room. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you pretty much increase your yang energy and bring it to the surface of your palms. But with that much energy in you, you seriously feel like you're sitting in an oven, and so your face is all red and you're sweating, and it's not
Wow.
pretty. But
Interesting, interesting. Do you have any experiences like, breaking bricks or anything like that? Or
no. Steve does the 1 inch punch, which is really crazy.
can you describe that a little? Because I've seen him do it, but I mean, I didn't really know what was going on. Could you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, you just load your fist up with as much energy as you could possibly will into it to where, I mean, if you look at your left hands and think of your right hands, that's literally the feeling of energy going to your right hands. And if you really just focus all of your focus into your right hands, it'll start feeling like heavy, like you're holding like a bowling ball. It'll start drooping down. You're like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? If you don't break that concentration and you lead all of your thought, energy, your will into this, you can use this energy. It like hardens your fist and makes it 10 times stronger than it actually is. And yeah, you can compact energy into a single movement, and that's called Fa Jin, or the release of energy in one strike.
And you said that if, like, like for example, like a UFC fighter or like a boxer were to obtain this level of energy and stuff, like, it can literally kill the other person.
Yeah, it goes straight to the heart, man. I mean,
Wow.
I mean, if you have, I mean, you could gain energy, but it's almost like you're growing a baby or something inside of you. I know that sounds super freaking weird, but in the beginning stages, it doesn't have thought or intelligence, but later on, it really knows what to do. It guides your decisions and everything, and it behaves intelligently beyond your will. So if you're upset and you're in a street fight and you've attained a level to where your energy is acting for you, um, when you punch somebody and exchange this energy, it's going to go to where it causes the most damage and stop their heart. So people have to be careful. I mean, it's meant for, I mean, the monks used it as a martial training. Not that it just has to be martial, you can use it for literally everything. Um, but it is very effective.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Um. Uh. Chris. So, what was I trying to ask? I forgot. Um. There's it's something in regards to Fajin and martial arts and stuff. Um. I can't remember now. Like I said, sorry guys. Just like this interview came about last minute and stuff. I usually write down questions that I want to ask and stuff like that, but I have nothing prepared today because I wasn't planning on doing this. Oh, there is one question I do want to ask you. So in the Lineage of Dragons, he described, or Master Steve described, astral experiences with dragons and stuff like that. Do you have that experience at all? And can you also elaborate on that?
I met
Is it
Steve's dragon.
really?
I met
Can you
Steve's dragon
describe
when
that
I was
story?
there. Yeah, man, it was terrifying.
Wait. Hold on. Sorry to cut you off. When you say you met Steve's dragon, like you mean in the astral realm or actually here?
It certainly felt like it was right in front of me, but it was astrally, but it freaking shook me to the core. Like I was never so terrified in my freaking life. Like I was asleep in his dojo and I don't remember what time it was, but I was like awake and this thing just I looked up at the ceiling and everything was stars. Like I was looking through the roof and this thing like comes and pulls me through the roof and I go and it's talking to me, but it's the size of a galaxy. And he's like, I am with Steve. I am of stars, and everything was shaking, and I was like, ah!
Wow. What is that dragon? Like, is it a god? Is it a guardian angel? Like, what is it?
It's Steve's guide. I don't know, man. I've met some weird shit. I mean, my friend committed suicide in 2015, and
Uh-huh.
that's when that ability opened up in me to, talk to the spirit realm or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I wish I hadn't had that because it's annoying and it's really bothersome, especially if you're somewhere public and you're being prodded by a spirit saying, "I need to talk to them. I need to talk to them." It's annoying. But
Really? Wow.
I got to meet Steve's dragon. It shook me. It gave me its name, and then I told Steve the next morning, and I said that was terrifying. He's like, I cannot believe that you saw him, and yeah, it was pretty surreal. I mean, a
Wow.
lot of demons will try to mimic spirits, so you got to be careful. I mean, because who knows what's really coming through, and I certainly didn't know. But when my cabinets are all open that freaking next morning, or I hear my door like a huge bang at 3 a.m., it's kind of like un- uneasy feeling. So
Interesting. Talking about Steve, you mentioned that Steve was able to teleport. So, like, can Steve say, like, can he teleport from you from wherever he is in South America to your room? Like, I mean, can you explain that a little bit?
he said like 50 feet.
Oh,
So
oh, so it can only be within a certain range. Okay.
mhm. Yeah, and he will never tell you about it, and he won't like tell anybody about it. I mean, I was lucky to get to copy down his like book that gets passed down. He won't tell you about that either, but it's just training methods and they're very vague. And he had to translate because, of course, it's an ancient Chinese writing, and um, it's very basic. I mean, there's nothing really special. And a lot of these people, for some reason, the ancients just, how when you read books from like the 1910s or late 1800s, there's a certain level of assumed knowledge that the author implied. Like, yeah, we already know that what we're talking about, so we're not going to go into detail as like today's authors do. And it's when you're looking at something from 1500 years ago, um, it's like that times 1,000 because it's like, okay, so I'm supposed to meditate in silence and not think, but the implications behind that is so immense that we have no grasp on what they actually knew. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but the knowledge does come. on its own.
Interesting. What was I trying to ask? Oh, yes. So this book, it's, I don't know if you guys can see it or not or read it or not, but it talks about Bruce Lee, and essentially he reveals that Bruce Lee was a Nigong adept and stuff, and he got assassinated inside this book. Can you reveal that a little bit and elaborate on that? So was Bruce Lee in fact an energy practitioner like you, and also was he assassinated by these Chinese mafias or?
Well, yeah, I mean, his uncle led that the assassination clan that they posed as a acrobatics show. But yeah, I mean, no, Steve told me about Master Fuchs level, and how he had people attacking him with spears, 20 people at a time, and they wouldn't touch him. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty nuts. But Bruce was into the martial arts aspect of it, and Fook was his main master, and Steve actually got to train with Bruce for many years and Fook. And but Bruce left because and didn't focus on the internal aspects of martial arts, because I mean, he was so great at the external, and then money started showing up, dollar signs. Is like, okay, well, I can make money. So he never continued into the internal aspect of Nikon.
Interesting. So essentially, Bruce Lee wasn't able to do like some of the stuff that you're able to do, or Steve is able to do.
No, he trained more like Shaolin monks did, and
Interesting.
Fook trained Steve just like that too. But with that external Qigong training comes the internal that you have to just spend the time with. Like, you think I want to spend an hour every night sitting in silence? Like, it's boring, and it takes a while to get into that state of not thinking. Like, I use different tricks, like listening as hard as I can to where sound's coming from, and I hear a high pitched ring, and before I know it, an hour's flown by, and it feels like 2 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, it is hard not to think. Really
Right.
hard.
Right. Um. So, in your opinion, can someone develop both? Can they become a badass Shaolin monk, and also can they develop these kinds of internal, like superpowers, if you will? Can someone obtain both? In your
Yeah,
opinion?
yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to do both, or else you're going to limit yourself in how fast you'll grow, what levels you'll get to.
Interesting.
I mean,
Interesting.
once
Okay.
you're past a certain point, if you're not physically fit, then you won't be able to handle the training that needs to come with it.
Mm.
Like at the beginning, I had to do body tapping, which is pretty much you take steel bars and you whack yourself in the abdomen with it over and over and over.
Mm.
And I did that for months, and
Interesting.
I can't feel like my stomach at all anymore. Like, if someone were to punch me in the stomach, I would I would know, but it wouldn't
Really? Wow.
at all. Like, it would take somebody with immense strength to really do anything. Um, you know, with the body tapping, it's kind of like hardening your fist by striking wood over and over. I mean, you get pores in your bones that start to fill in, and then it becomes like steel. I mean, same thing with any part of your body. If it gets hit enough, it's going to harden. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things. It just takes a willingness to do.
That is so fascinating. Wow, interesting. So essentially, that what like the Shaolin call the hard body training, if you will. There's definitely a correlation between that and like the psychic part of things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, you could just use qigong and still develop these abilities. I mean, none of it is wrong. All of it is right, but it's just the level of commitment. Like, how much time are you willing to dedicate to it? And if you just did like Steve's basic qigong movements every day, you would you would gain power. You know, you get 80% of what you would from internally meditating from the external stuff. You know, it makes it easier for the people that just can't stop thinking, which is a lot of people. So,
Mm-hmm. So Mr. Steve's system, you mentioned that you were at level barely past level 2 or something like that. Mopai supposedly has 72 levels and stuff like that. Is there
it's
like
the same. It's the
so
same level of measurement. I mean, Steve talks about 4, but it goes to 72. But
really?
the
Wow.
fact that anybody gets past 3 in their lifetime is like slim to none. Like 1 in 100,000
Really?
practitioners
Wow.
get there, and you know, I'll be lucky to get to, you know, my shot at 4. But
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, once you get past there, that's when you actually merge the two energies in your body,
The
and
yin and yang. Yeah.
yeah, then you become godlike. You know, that's when
Yeah.
you can do molecular control. Um, you know, I hope that would be amazing.
John Chang, I could be wrong about this. I believe Costa Danaus said that John Chang was 40. I can't remember.
John Chang's dead.
I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't know, but I know he was up there. But level 72 is essentially where you're immortal and you're God.
Hmm.
Essentially, am I correct?
Hmm. Yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, and then every level beyond 3 become double the strength of a regular man, and then double, you know, every level doubles until 72, which is like something like 800 billion or something, some stupid number. But
Right, right. I could be wrong about this. Once again, when I read this, somewhere in this book, I believe they say that Kriya Yoga essentially and the Tian Shan Ne Kung are similar and stuff like that. So, essentially, all these different energy modalities, ancient energy modalities throughout the world, are they basically the same thing?
yep, it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yep.
answer.
I mean, like I said, if you meditate, there is no wrong meditation. There is no right meditation. It's literally just spending the time to do it. And dude, so few people come up with so much in their minds like, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? And that stops
Mm.
them. That stops like 99% of people. And they don't realize that if you just shut up and do it, and or at least try to get as close as you can to non-thinking, that you're actually growing in strength, but you won't feel it for a while. Like it just take,
Interesting.
I mean, it was a year and a half before I felt anything. Like you know, how disappointing. But I would make
Right.
sure an hour a night, like no matter what, no matter if I was sick or I just was tired, like I didn't want to, I did it anyways. And then one day I just knew I could move things. And then and then I could feel this thing in my stomach like vibrate, and I'm like, what the like what is that?
Interesting. So you say that you're level 2 right now. I gotta be like a level 0.1 or something if I have to guess. Um, but
How long have you been
maybe not
meditating?
even. How long have I been? I mean, that's hard to say, man. Because I mean, I've been meditating since 2015, but since 2019 is when I actually started to look, to practice TK and stuff like that. So,
You're
I
probably
mean,
two.
2? Me?
Hmm. Yeah.
2? Really?
Hmm. I mean, dude, these
2?
external things, the difference between us is nothing. Like, you could do any of the stuff that I can do. You just haven't felt comfortable knowing that you can yet. That's it.
Interesting. Well, that's such a compliment coming from some of your caliber to say that I'm level 2. Because, I mean, I look at you in amazement all the time, So, so, thank you for that. Man, that is so interesting. Wow. So essentially, they're all the same thing, and they're pretty much all 72. Are you familiar with Kunlun Nigong at all? I mean, I asked Mr. Steve about it once in the YouTube comments, and he was calling Max Christensen Mad Max or something. Didn't seem like he was a big fan of him. Are you aware of him at all, or?
Mm-mm.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I believe that he said the same thing. Essentially, his system is supposedly ancient, and and that they're similar to Korea as well. They call it the water path, which I'm assuming is like a yin, more of a yin path.
Hmm. That sounds more yin. I mean, yin is called water all the time. So,
Interesting. Yeah. So interesting, man. I know, gosh, like we're probably gonna wrap this up soon. I can probably ask a million more questions, but let me see. Well, I always like to wrap up my questions with what is your final goal? What do you want to ultimately achieve? What is it that you want to ultimately achieve, Chris, in your life?
mm, I want to be able to heal the terminally ill. I want to be able to do the things that Jesus was able to do, and I, and not stop there. I want to know what we're truly capable of because, you said you're not a Christian, but I literally think that in the Bible, Jesus was teaching people that we are gods. We can be exactly like he did, even in the Sermon on the Mount. He said you could do these things and so much more. And ye of little faith, if you had faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed, you could command the mountains into the sea and it would obey. And it's like, uh, people just don't really take those things literally. But I mean, the apostles were doing things that were like they were raising the dead, and and it's like we just are not. This world isn't set up to explore our limitations, like what we're truly capable of. We're so busy. From the moment you wake up, you have shit to do. Like, I work 70 hours a week and I work out 3 hours a day, and yet it's like I still try to find time to meditate in an hour before bed. And you know, if I didn't make myself, I wouldn't do it because I would love to get the extra sleep.
Right. So killing. I said this that was going to be the last question, but I want to ask you in regards to sleep. Do you sacrifice sleep over energy practices like meditation, stuff like that? Do you think that um, it's just as important,
That
or I mean,
was
not just as important, but do you think that it's doing these energy exercises over sleep? Because some people say that getting a lot of sleep as an energy practitioner is very important and stuff like that, so you can recover and stuff. What is your take on sleep? Do you think sleep is an essential part of energy practice, or do you think that as long as you're doing energy practices, you don't even have to sleep? What is your
Oh, dude, sleep is super important. Like, the people that tell me that they sleep like less than 4 hours a night, I just like shake my head in disbelief. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, you're probably operating at like half capacity. Like,
mm-hmm,
sleep is really important. It's the only thing that gives your body like that reset,
mm-hmm,
cellularly,
mm-hmm,
you know, mentally, everything. And we
mm-hmm.
don't even understand sleep really, but I do know I need my sleep, or I'm not going to be very happy the next day.
Interesting. um in regards to sleep, I was told by somebody that I interviewed in the past that he basically tapped into really lucid dreaming and he went really deep with it, essentially, messing with the astral realms and stuff like that. And he was able to bring back knowledge, superpowers, all this kind of stuff. He was telling me that he had to suppress his dreams, like, by, um, taking, marijuana and stuff like that, to suppress his dreams. You know, what is your take on lucid dreaming? Do you think by lucid dreaming it can actually, like, allow you to cultivate more energy and stuff like that, and, like, bring back more superpowers, if you will? Because in the astral realms, you're pretty much, the laws of physics aren't the same as here. What is
I've
your take on
only I've only astral projected 2 times, and it took me a long time. I mean, it took me like 4 hours the first time I tried it, and 3 hours the next time. And yeah, it was interesting because you see your body and it's freaky, like stepping out and looking back at yourself laying in bed. That is a weird thing. Like if you really do it, that would freak anybody out. Like I was like, it snapped me back in. I walked through my bedroom window, looked back, and I saw my body, and I freaked, and I snapped right back in. That was the first time. The second time I was actually able to go to a different country and fly and stuff, and it was great. But I don't know what to think about vivid dreams. You know, I don't know what dreams are. You know, people have different theories. I really don't know. Like, I haven't had any like. I mean, I think they're important, but I don't know why. So I don't know. I don't really think it has anything to do with training. Like everything that you do training wise, you are conscious. Uh oh. Hey, I'm gonna have to cut this short. This guy
Okay.
is in my car, so
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for this interview, and we
hello.
will talk soon.
Okay. See you, Ken.
Yeah, see it. I don't even know how to cut this thing.
I don't either.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. That was Chris, and that is it. And man, I miss doing this interview stuff, but I really, man, I'm so busy with life, and I don't have the time to do this on a consistent basis and stuff. And if I find the inspiration again, I will maybe get back into this work. So, but that was an amazing interview, and thanks for watching. The few people that I've liked, it looks like Nico and Antonio LP, and a few people have liked it. So cool, man. Thanks, guys, for watching. This will probably be my last one. I keep saying that, likely because I'm way too busy with life and just don't have the time to be doing this on a consistent basis anymore. So, all right, guys, peace out, and thank you, Chris, once again.